The first time I saw her, I thought the universe had played a cruel joke on me. She wasn't human, that much was obvious, yet her eyes, two deep pools of violet, held a kind of recognition that unsettled me. Her name was Lyra, and she emerged from the starship docked just outside my small hometown on the outskirts of the Andromeda Fringe. The humans in the settlement whispered about her as though she were a specter of some forgotten legend. But when she smiled at me, I felt something stranger, something terrifyingly familiar. I had always known I was different. My mother told me stories of my father, a man who had vanished before I could even remember his face. He was a traveler, a seeker of worlds beyond our own, and she warned me that the cosmos was full of dangers disguised as wonders. That night, as I watched Lyra step down from her ship, I felt as if the stories of my childhood had been leading to this moment, though I had no idea why. "Hello," she said, her voice like a chime ringing in the thin, cool air of our settlement. "Are you, Alex?" I nodded, unable to tear my gaze away from her. Something in the way she said my name struck a chord inside me, like a memory half-remembered, flickering at the edge of consciousness. "Yes," I managed finally. "And you are?" "Lyra," she replied, a slight tilt of her head, a gesture almost human but not quite. She scanned my face as though looking for confirmation, then smiled wider. "My mother likes you." The words hit me like a meteor. I froze where I stood, my heart skipping a beat. "Your mother?" I asked cautiously, unsure if I had misheard. She nodded. "Yes. She's been watching you, through time, through places. She says you remind her of someone she once knew." My brain screamed at me to run, to escape before I got caught in something I didn't understand, but my legs refused to move. The air felt thick, heavy with a tension I couldn't name. I don't understand," I said. "You will," Lyra said softly. "Come with me. There's much to explain and little time." That was the beginning of everything. Lyra led me to her ship, a sleek vessel that shimmered in shades of blue and silver. The interior was unlike anything I had ever seen. Walls of liquid light, corridors that seemed to bend and stretch as you walked, and a central chamber filled with floating spheres, each displaying fragments of images I couldn't immediately comprehend. She guided me to a seat that seemed to mold itself to my shape, then took one opposite me. "My mother is the guardian of echoes," she said. "She watches across the stars, across timelines. And she has chosen to bring you into this, Alex." I blinked, trying to digest the words. Chosen me for what? Lyra's eyes darkened with seriousness. "To prevent a war that could unravel not just our galaxy, but countless others. You have gifts, Alex. Ones you don't yet understand." I laughed nervously. "Gifts? I'm just a mechanic from a tiny settlement. The only thing I can fix is my mother's old hydro generator." Lyra's smile was kind, yet firm. "Your mother once told me stories of your father. He too underestimated himself. You're not just a mechanic. You carry a legacy. And right now, the galaxy needs you." For hours, or perhaps days, time moved differently aboard her ship, she explained. Our galaxy, she told me, was a nexus of countless civilizations. Some thrived in harmony, others simmered in rivalry, and a shadow entity known as the Nihilarch sought to consume every star, every planet, every spark of life. And somehow, through a chain of improbable events, I was central to stopping it. At first, I thought it was madness. But when Lyra displayed the visions, memories that weren't mine, glimpses of battles I had never fought yet somehow knew, I realized she spoke the truth. My father had been part of a secret order, guardians of interstellar balance, and his disappearance had been a sacrifice to protect me, the one who could finish what he had begun. You're saying, I whispered, voice shaking, that I'm meant to fight a war I didn't even know existed? Lyra's gaze softened. Not fight. Guide. Strategize. You have a mind attuned to patterns, Alex. You can see the threads others cannot. Your father saw them, too, and now you must. Days turned into weeks as Lyra trained me. She taught me how to interface with alien technology, how to read energy flows and detect anomalies across star systems. I was learning to trust instincts I didn't know I had, to sense danger before it arrived, to plan moves across galaxies like chess pieces. And all the while, Lyra's mother, always watching, communicated through visions, guiding me in subtle, dreamlike ways. One night, aboard the ship, Lyra touched my hand. Do you know why I said my mother likes you? She asked, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. I shook my head. She remembers him, Lyra said softly, her voice almost a whisper. Your father. She sees his courage, his kindness in you. And she wants you to know, Alex, that even across worlds and lifetimes, the bond of family doesn't fade. The words struck me deeply. My father's face, long forgotten, surged into my mind, faint, fragmented, but there. I felt tears prick my eyes. For the first time in my life, I understood the weight of what I had inherited, the duty and the love intertwined in my blood. The war arrived sooner than expected. The Nihilarca's fleet emerged from the void like a shadow swallowing the stars. Entire planets trembled as massive ships, black and silent, carved paths of destruction across inhabited systems. Lyra and I coordinated with allied civilizations, forming a coalition that stretched across galaxies. But even with every advantage, the Nihilarca's intelligence was unlike anything I had ever seen. It anticipated moves before we made them, infiltrated systems we thought secure. In one battle, I realized that strategy alone wouldn't suffice. We needed something personal, something the Nihilarch could not calculate. Lyra's mother revealed the solution in a vision. The core of the Nihilarca's power was fueled by the fear and isolation of those it sought to conquer. Only a demonstration of connection, of empathy and courage, could destabilize it. It fell to me. We engaged the Nihilarch in the heart of a dying star cluster. Our fleet fought valiantly, but every maneuver the enemy anticipated. Lyra stayed close, her hand in mine, grounding me. I accessed a chamber aboard the flagship, one of the alien vessels I had learned to manipulate, and interfaced with the core systems of the Nihilarch. The ship hummed with energy, the very stars around us bending in response. I reached into my mind, connecting with the fear I had witnessed, the hope I had seen in countless civilizations, the love that had shaped me from childhood. I thought of my mother, her unwavering belief in me. I thought of Lyra and her mother, who had seen the man I could become. And I projected it all, like a pulse of pure light and emotion, into the core of the Nihilarch. The shadow entity faltered. Its ships wavered, systems failing, and then it shrieked, not in sound, but in the language of the universe itself, a scream of confusion and disbelief. In that instant, the fleet rallied, striking in unison, and the Nihilarch dissolved into nothingness, scattering across dimensions like dust. We had won. After the battle, the galaxy began to heal. Systems rebuilt, alliances strengthened, and civilizations that had feared annihilation now thrived in a fragile peace. Lyra and I returned to my home settlement for a brief respite. The familiarity of the earth beneath my feet, the scent of my mother's cooking, the laughter of children running through dusty streets, it all felt surreal after the chaos of the stars. And then Lyra said it. My mother was right, she said, her violet eyes soft and radiant. She likes you. I froze, the the same way I had the first day we met. The weight of everything, the war, the visions, the legacy of my father, settled into a quiet awe. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Lyra smiled and took my hand again. "She means that you are brave, kind, and true. You remind her of him, and she is pleased to see those qualities continue. She likes you, Alex, not just as a warrior, but as a person. She trusts you. And I like you too." The words were simple, yet they carried the weight of galaxies. I laughed softly, a sound of relief and wonder, and finally felt the tight knot of tension in my chest unwind. "Then I guess," I said, my voice trembling, "I'll have to do my best not to disappoint either of you." Lyra leaned forward, resting her head against my shoulder. "You never could." And for the first time, standing in my quiet hometown with the alien girl who had changed my life, I understood that the universe, vast and unpredictable, could also be kind. That love, courage, and legacy could reach across stars and species, uniting destinies in ways I had never imagined. I had thought I was small, a mechanic from a nowhere settlement. But now I knew that even the smallest spark, in the right place and time, could ignite a galaxy. And perhaps, just perhaps, it could also ignite a heart. After the battle, the galaxies slowly began to breathe again. Worlds once threatened by the Nihilarchist shadow now glimmered with life, and alliances that had seemed impossible were forged through shared survival. Lyra and I returned to my small hometown, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. Every breeze, every familiar scent, every creak of old wood seemed infused with meaning. We stood together in my mother's kitchen, watching her move about with that quiet, steadfast grace that had always anchored me. She paused when she saw Lyra, her eyes widening ever so slightly, a soft smile spreading across her face. Lyra's violet gaze met mine. "My mother, she likes you," Lyra said again, her tone gentler this time, almost shy. I froze, memories of our shared battles, our fears, and our victories flashing through me. But instead of fear, warmth spread across my chest. I realized then that I wasn't alone. The weight of my father's legacy, the trust of Lyra, and my mother's quiet approval had converged into something unstoppable. I like you too," I said softly, my voice carrying the certainty I had lacked before. Lyra smiled, resting her hand on mine. "We've crossed stars, faced impossible odds, and we're still here, together." My mother approached us, placing a hand lightly on my shoulder. "You've made choices I could never have imagined, Alex. I see him in you, your father, and I'm proud." The words hung in the air, grounding me in a way that even the cosmos couldn't. The war was over, but more importantly, the connections I had feared lost were now tangible, alive. I understood that courage was not just in facing enemies, but in opening your heart, in trusting others, in allowing yourself to be seen. That night, as we watched the twin moons rise over the settlement, Lyra leaned against me, her head on my shoulder. The stars stretched endlessly above, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt part of something vast, yet intimately connected, a family, a purpose, a love that spanned species and galaxies. I had once been just a mechanic, unsure of my place in the universe. Now I was a guardian, a bridge between worlds, and, perhaps most importantly, someone my mother could be proud of. And as Lyra whispered, "The universe is full of surprises," I realized she was right. Some surprises were terrifying. Some were breathtaking. But the best ones, like her, like family, like courage, were the ones that changed you forever. I held her hand tighter, knowing we were ready for whatever the universe might throw at us next. Together.